So, in that time, have you ever felt lonely?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But we're married and we're together and
Uh,
all that stuff. So, can you feel lonely when you're in a relationship?
yes, you very much can
Yeah.
feel lonely in a relationship. Welcome to Startup Spouses, where we help entrepreneurial couples take their relationship from mediocre to mind-blowing. I'm Marie, a relationship and intimacy coach.
And I'm Adam. I'm a business coach.
Hi.
And we're married.
Very good. I'm
Yeah.
so proud of
I
you.
finally figured it out after 21 years. Yeah.
After 21 years,
Almost 22.
21, almost 22, is
Yeah.
that right?
That's right. That's right.
Oh, wow.
So let me ask you a question. In those 21, almost 22 years that we've had together, well, which we've been married, that doesn't include the 5 or so years that we've been together before that. So that's 27 or 28 years, 27 years.
Wow.
That's higher math. That's like college level math right there, right?
Yes, it is.
So in that time, have you ever felt lonely?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But we're married and we're together and
Right.
all that stuff. So can you feel lonely when you're in a relationship?
Yes, you very much can
Yeah.
feel lonely in a relationship.
Yeah.
It's almost it's you don't notice it because you expect your relationship
To take care of everything?
take care of the loneliness, and you
Yeah.
almost feel bad because you're not single, so why should you be lonely in a relationship? But there's some parts in our relationship where it ebbs and flows,
Yeah.
and then other parts is when we've had, as we're growing up, we've had challenges not only for ourselves but our family, and so that disconnection can happen too, and you can feel alone too.
Yeah.
Or even if you're in depression or anxiety, you can feel alone too. But for me personally, I felt alone a lot of the cases because before I turned 33 years old, I had undiagnosed ADHD. So I felt very much alone because I thought I was depressed and had anxiety, and so that's what they were treating me. And I still felt isolated because I felt different, and I didn't want to be different. I know growing up in the 90s, if you were different, oh, you were just ridiculed and you were kicked out of the
Oh, yeah.
pack, and people didn't like you. So I tried to mask that. And in masking that, and I was different, in masking that, I felt very alone because I wasn't myself. I wasn't my authentic self.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting way of putting it that I haven't heard before. Feeling lonely because you're trying to fit in as being someone else. And so you're trying to fit into the group, but you don't feel like you're being authentic. And that was leading to some level of loneliness. Plus, I mean, undiagnosed other stuff. But that seems like a bit of a new idea to me, this whole, if you're not being authentic to yourself or true to yourself, you are kind of making it almost becomes more lonely. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and that kind of gets along to what we've been talking about a little bit too, which is this idea of the individual operating system that goes into how we show up in relationships and how we show up at work or how we show up in our business. So I'm wondering if there's an idea of like, hey, that loneliness may be a flag that we're not able to feel like we're able to be authentic in our relationship or in our workplace or in our business.
Yeah. So it's interesting if you don't know yourself, is what you're saying. Is that what you're
I think that's
communicating to
well.
me?
That's
Is
the
that what?
hypothesis I'm coming to because, I mean, just what you said there is that you grew up kind of feeling alone because you weren't able to be yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if that's true in relationships too. That maybe that is a cause of some loneliness. I know I felt lonely in our relationship even early on when we were struggling. I mean, I drank a lot and I like to isolate there. It was like self-inflicted loneliness, but it was also this idea that I felt alone.
Yes.
Yeah. So so I think, and I think that it was because a lot of that may have been rooted in not knowing myself either. Yeah.
That is, it's very telling. I think it's on the same path as what I'm saying is
Yeah.
that I tried to hide part of myself and
Right.
you tried to numb part of yourself.
Yeah.
It's almost on the same spectrum of light where that loneliness is because we're not authentically being ourselves.
Yeah.
And so that can show up in our relationship because most of the time, if you don't have a good example of a great relationship, like if you didn't grow up in a household that showed healthy boundaries, healthy relationship, all of that, and you're looking to another person and to see how am I supposed to be in this relationship as a married person? How am I supposed to act like a married person? What am I supposed to do?
Who do I need to be for this
Yes,
person?
who do I need to be for this person? We're so openly focused on the other.
Oh my gosh. And we get a ton of hate for that.
Yeah.
Like pointing that out. Like, how do I show up for this person? And like people are like trying to explain to us that you shouldn't focus on yourself. You should focus on the other. You should be focused on your spouse, and you should know what they want. You know, that's romance. That's love. Well, it's not. You're not loving yourself first.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm sorry. All of those people that are getting into our comments and saying that, you're wrong.
Well, it's just a different perspective of looking at it.
It may be.
Yeah, but a lot of society says I can understand like don't be like
Well,
there's that thought process of don't be so selfish.
Yeah, but here's why I'm saying that's wrong though, because a lot of what brought up this idea of us doing this episode on loneliness is because we've heard a lot of questions from people about loneliness, and we've also seen a lot of this kind of gaining traction in the socials about relationships and things like that, especially as it comes to loneliness in men, and there's been a lot of statistics showing that, you know, men are more inclined to suffer the effects of loneliness in their lives than women, and they're something like 4 times more likely to commit suicide than women. And there's a lot of this idea that men are lonely; they don't have a place to be able to do that. And we also hear this language around that is, how do I show up for my wife? How do I be a better husband? How do I be a better father? Or how do I do this? How do I do that? And meanwhile, also hearing the language that of men being, it being not necessarily a good thing to be more of a man, so to speak. So there's a lot of that kind of language around there. And so that's why I feel like I can empathize with that, of course, being a man and having felt that loneliness. And also understand where the other side is coming from with women, because you and women are dealing with their own sets of loneliness and emotions and needs and everything. But that's why it comes down to, we have to focus on understanding and knowing ourselves first.
Yes.
I mean, is that wrong? Are the people that are telling us that we're wrong for saying that, are they right?
I think that there two sets can be true. That to the side of the story, that it can be true. Like you go to a relationship to give.
Yeah.
But you need to have that ability to give in a relationship. So where does that come from?
Sure. Yeah.
So how do we cultivate that aspect of giving in a relationship? It comes from self-care. It comes from self-knowledge, to understand oneself, to be able to communicate what your needs are too.
Yeah.
And have a partner who can hear it. And not either take offense to it or feeling like they're not doing enough, just to be open and be able to listen. And that's difficult. We didn't always have that.
No.
That ability for you to say that your needs. And if you said your needs, for me in the past, I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing enough. Either that becomes resentful.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can be triggered by that. That's why I can say both sides can be true at the same time, because a lot of people are holding that energy with them, is the fact that they hear their partner. If they're both not in this healthy dynamic of being able to hear and understand each other and where they're coming from, they can revert to, I'm not doing enough. I can't believe they think that they need more from me because I'm giving so much that I forgot about myself in this relationship. And I think that that's where a lot of people find themselves, is that they're giving so much, but they're pushing past their capacity. They're pushing past their boundaries of what is comfortable for them. So that's where resentment starts building up inside of them too. Is because they're like, what do you mean? I give so much, and they should be doing this. Is what I hear a lot too.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I can resonate a lot with the resentment side of it, because it's like you do feel like you're doing a lot for, especially when you come into a relationship thinking, I just want to give, I want to shower this person with love and just give them everything they want, and you're not, and that's beautiful, that's great. And if you're not focused on yourself first, and you're not getting what you need, I can relate to that idea of resentment. It's like, man, I feel like I'm giving so much, and I'm not getting anything back, and it is making me feel lonely. And so now I'm lonely and resentful. And then, like, if you were to come to me, like, in that lonely and resentful place, and say, hey, I need more physical touch, and I was like, well, geez, how much do I have to give? And I mean, especially when you're not having those conversations around, like, well, what is the love language? If I'm like fully immersed in just giving you gifts, but you're a touch person, you're like, oh, thanks for the flowers, but yeah, I mean, why not just play with my hair every once in a while? And I'm just like, but I gave you all these gifts, and you're just not trying, and there's not an understanding there. And I've run into this in business too, where, like, people, and I don't. This is going to sound like a strange comparison, but follow me here, because I think the idea stands. It's like where you have an employee, and coming from a family business that happened all the time, where it was typically a family member in the business that was coming to me, or I would have to say, hey, you're not doing enough. You're not doing your job, and I'm not getting this from you. But I'm doing all these other things that aren't my job. And but I'm doing all this, and I care so much, and I'm giving, and I'm give. And you're just like, well, yeah, but the thing that we need from you, we're not getting. And that's because you're not seeking to understand, and, like, learning to understand the other person. And the only way to understand that other person is to really understand how you operate. I think is where we keep getting back to.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Seeking to understand another person and understand yourself. But I wanted to touch on a point you made about men being lonely.
Yeah.
If you can go back to that.
Sure.
Because you said something about that. And it's interesting to me to see that lately, is the fact that men are not supposed to have emotions or emote or to have feelings or discuss these feelings too. And a lot of and women are also socially conditioned that it's really hard to see a man emote and have emotion. And so no wonder why men feel so much more lonely. They can't talk to their friends. They can't talk to their spouse about it because they're being shamed into it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think this is. I mean, I think that's a great point, and I think it's true now more than ever, because I think there's this common theme of like, hey, yeah, but just sack it up, because this is how men have been throughout the course of history, right?
Yeah.
Men have always had to be this way, and they haven't gotten emotional like this in the past. Okay, that's fair. We are living in a new world today, right? Where there is a lot more expected of everyone. And there is a lot of information coming at us constantly, in the form of social media and in the form of news and information and all of this stuff. And that whole world is at our fingertips. So we are ultimately all more sensitive to a lot of that,
yes.
Right? And I also think that that in a lot of ways, especially now, growing up, young men don't have the social circles that they used to have.
Yes.
They don't have that tribal community that they used to have. I've heard studies that say that, like, back when we were kids, we had a total of, I think, something like three average of the average person, average man used to have three good friends or something along those lines. I don't remember exactly what the statistic is, but right now it is far less. Like it's maybe one tops. And so there's not that great friend network. There's not that great social network. There's a lot more information coming. And so there's not a lot of opportunity to really know yourself. And so all of this stuff hitting not just men, but women and kids and everything, all of it is designed to spark an emotion out of us. Mm-hmm. And so that emotion comes up, but if we're doing what we were traditionally conditioned to do, evolutionarily speaking, it's not to show that emotion, or not to be that emotion, and especially not to show that. So we push it down, and then that also too becomes loneliness and resentment, and it's not good. And that's from the male standpoint. I mean, I can say from my experience, especially coming from a family business, where I didn't feel like I had I didn't have the freedom to be myself. I had to be the son, the brother, the family member, all of these different identities that were attached to me but I didn't get to be myself. And that made me feel very lonely. And especially when I got into the CEO role of that company, when the relationships in my family became more transactional, that became even lonelier.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself, and not being able to talk about that with you, or have a community to talk about that with, that made it even lonelier.
Yeah.
So there's just all of these opportunities to be lonely. Now, how did I get out of that as a male? Well, I found community. I mean, because fortunately when I got sober, I learned the value of a community through Alcoholics Anonymous. And so from then on out, I was always seeking out the communities that could support me in a variety of ways. And so when I became the CEO of a family business, knowing that that's not something you can really talk about and get a lot of empathy from friend groups, I seeked out a community that was like that. And I found GoBundance, where I could talk about that with other people. And so that was helpful. And then ultimately we worked on ourselves and learn more about the art and science of self-understanding, so that we can define our own operating systems. And that's what started to strengthen our relationship. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd ask now, so that's from my perspective on loneliness, but I'd ask from the woman's perspective, how does that loneliness show up for you and women in general? What is the evolutionary or conditional reason women might be feeling lonely now?
First of all, it's like these expectations that are set for you. And I feel like as a woman that there's these certain expectations of how, if you are working and you have that, you're supposed to feel guilty that you're not spending enough time with your family. And then also when you're with your family, that you're not putting enough into work. So that's that pull that exhausts women.
Yeah.
That they're supposed to show up and they're supposed to look a certain way and they're supposed to act a certain way. That we're putting on all these different masks and they're supposed to care for their children. That we're exhausted. And I hear it a lot. Like, it's hard to make friends as an adult. A lot of people, and why is that true now? We're asked to do much more. We have a lot more technology, and so not only our kids are, I'll just see my friend on the computer while we're playing video games, or I'll just call them on the phone or text back and forth. But you see that in adults as well, too, that it's like social media is isolating us a lot more, so it makes us even more exhausted to have that ability to come back and to be in community. It feels like a lot of work when you first do it. But if you notice that once you're in community with somebody else, that you feel so much better.
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
100%.
I feel that spending time with friends
Yeah.
has really improved my life,
Yeah.
and it's not easy.
Oh, no.
It's not easy at all. But what I can say is for those people who feel lonely, because I remember being in that place. I really remember. I'm like, I don't have any friends. Like, I don't have any friends to go
Yeah.
out with. I don't have any. But doing something that you actually like to do,
Yeah.
you'll find the people who like to do the same things in that community, and you can share that with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and I want to I think that's important, and I think I want to touch on the difficulty of actually being able to, what we would call in AA, pick up the 800-pound phone, right,
Yeah.
or go out and be in community. Is how hard that is when you're in that state of loneliness
Yes.
to break out of that. And one thing I want to point out here is, again, we are not therapists. We do not claim to have the medical answers for anything from that standpoint that might be causing that loneliness in you individually. So we're speaking very broadly from experience and from a coaching standpoint in terms of of how how loneliness can be overcome. But if you're feeling that sense of loneliness and it's feeling overwhelming, and you have that sense of hopelessness, please, get help. There are hotlines, suicide hotlines, things like that. If you are feeling that, I mentioned a statistic earlier that is highly relevant with regard to suicide, especially in males, but that affects females as well.
Yeah.
And every gender on the spectrum. So get help if you need it. And obviously therapy is one of those answers that can help you navigate this.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. We also, as women, working with hormone changes as well, too.
Mm-hmm.
So that can either slow us down, make us more agitated, everything under the spectrum of why we feel alone.
Yeah.
Because we don't have these conversations with other people of how we're feeling too.
Right.
Or it feels uncomfortable to have these conversations. But once you find people like that to feel safe in that environment, you'll be that much less lonely.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it all goes also, it's like your significant other can't be everything to you.
Right. That's a great point. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Well, I can't expect for you to be my therapist and my best friend and all this at all times because you have capacity.
A great lover.
Yes. But oops. Okay, so just the idea that if you are everything to me, I'm draining your energy too, and you only have a certain amount of capacity.
Right.
To
Yeah.
hear me out,
Right.
too, and that's okay,
Yeah.
because we all have boundaries and limits that we all share. Sometimes I can be stressed out and say, "Look, you know what? I love you,
Yeah.
and I can't do this right now because I'm dysregulated."
Yeah.
So, if that's the case, no wonder we feel lonely. Because we're expecting one person to fill all those spaces, and it's not okay. It's not helpful. It's not healthy.
Right. Our expectations are too high is what I'm hearing, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but I don't know why it changed so much for one person to be that everything for you. I think maybe it's because we've gone away with communities and like a village, and we've gone straight to just one person in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and we're expecting to meet that person by swiping left on a phone or right. I don't know. It's been like what 20 well it's been like 27 years since I've been on the dating scene. So
Yeah,
I don't know,
they didn't have those
I wouldn't even
dating
know
apps.
how to do it. I mean, my gosh, dating apps. I don't know how anybody does that now. That's got to be another kind of element of this loneliness. Like, it's just like the idea of having to navigate that, and it's like rejection on steroids almost. It feels like, from what I've heard. but yeah, I think that's a great point is you cannot expect your spouse to be your absolute everything. I mean, this does get back to our traditional feeling of like romance and all this kind of stuff where it's like the you complete me and you are my everything. And it's like, yikes, that's a lot of stress. That's a lot of weight. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, I think you're a lot of things to me. I mean, and I love you very much, but I can't expect that you're going to be everything for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we have to build that community. So let's kind of talk. I think to get to that root of loneliness stuff. I mean, especially with leaders, and now we're talking about spouses that are maybe working together or building a business together, right? I feel like that amplifies the potential for loneliness when you're running a team, and you know and we get into these kind of cultural norms of calling of having our work and our family overlap, right? And we're talking about that overlap now, calling work family and all this kind of stuff. When in reality, it's like, okay, was your work is really work, and that's not a family, and let's not intertwine the two. You may love the people you work with, but that's not really it's not your family. And so let's talk about your chosen community, your chosen family. How do we intentionally find that community? Like, what are we looking for?
That's a good question.
I mean, I have thoughts, but I want to hear yours too.
How I started cultivating community was doing stuff that I was interested in.
Mm-hmm. How did you identify what you were interested in? Because I'm wondering, like, I mean, I'm going back to when I'm feeling the depths of loneliness. I'm like, okay, if I'm hopeless, I don't know what I'm interested in.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying things out. Stuff in the back of your head, like, that would be fun to do, but...
Yeah.
Or even going to your community center and signing up for, like, when we started going to karate, making friends that way because everybody else was doing it too. So you would cultivate friendships that way.
Yeah.
Because you're working with other people as well. Stuff like that. Like when we were in triathlons, we had a lot of friends because we would connect that way. And that was something that we shared.
Yeah.
In the communities is something to be active about too.
So basically finding communities is just like exploring interests and exploring communities in that interest. And I think that's maybe there's one benefit you can find to things like social media there because now you have more access to find these local communities. So instead of doom scrolling social media, actually use it as a way to find local communities that you can get to in person, you know, belly to belly, the type of like in-person kind of events that's where community is built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult, especially when you feel lonely, is to take that first step because your mindset is the fact that you are not good enough or nobody's want to hang around you. And we have all these negative thoughts that keep us in our loneliness. When we actually get out there, having fun in like a certain interest, that we understand that it's not so scary.
Yeah. And there's also, I think that's a good point because there's an intimidation factor of something that you've never done before, and going into something you've never done before, with a community of people that may have done that thing already, or you know have some level of skill above you. So you almost have to put your ego aside, and you're still putting yourself at risk because you're entering this community, and you're basically putting yourself into the sphere of rejection when you're already feeling like a heightened sensitivity when you're lonely, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you get beyond that? Or do you just have to I don't know, bull in a china shop, just go for it?
Well, that's why I said find something that you're interested in because then the interest will keep pulling you into these spaces. It's not like, and like when people talk about exercise and they're like, I hate exercise. And I was like, well, then you haven't found the one that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Like if you find something that you enjoy, then it's not so bad.
It's not, no. I mean, yeah, it's really not. I think the other part about like kind of mitigating that risk is we kind of go back. I don't know. I don't know how true this is, but for me, like when I feared going into communities like that, my brain went back to my 13-year-old self, right? Where it was like if I was going to go into like the baseball team or something like that, or try out for the baseball team, I was going to risk ridicule from all of the other boys on the team because that's what they did, and it would make me feel terrible, and I would feel lonelier than I actually was because that's how kids are. Some adults are still like that, and that's terrible. But what I think we've found since then is if you go in and you kind of have that fear or that like apprehension about going into a community like this because you don't know a lot, the best way to enter in is with a bit of humility, a bit of honesty, and maybe curiosity.
Yeah.
Because I think that if you go in and say, hey, I'm new to this and I'm really curious about it because I've just been really interested in this, so I just wanted to like maybe be a fly on the wall or observe this and just meet some people, and then just come loaded with some questions about like what to learn about, and just see how these people that have already been doing that thing, whether it's karate or basket weaving or triathlon or whatever, come to you and say, oh, let me help and let me do this for you. And if you run into people as an adult that are like, ha, look at the newbie, and look, my gosh, they're going to be few and far between. And you can just look back and just give them that look back. Really? You are the quote unquote think you're at the top of the game here. Calm down. At least I'm coming in and being honest that I'm a newbie or that I'm new, or make a joke about it. So be self-deprecating. Yep, I'm the newbie. Yeah.
I don't find myself in those spaces that much.
I don't think it happens a lot anymore.
No. But I mean, then don't go back to that community.
Yeah, right.
But it just tells you that that's not the right place for you. It's just find something. Try and find a couple things. I go and be consistent about it, because people want to know that you're going to show up.
Yeah.
Like they want that safety and that security. If you're going to show up every single time, they're going to get curious about you.
100%.
They're going to see you're a person that is stable and safe, and that they like.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be consistent. It can't just be, well, I tried it once and nobody came up to me and talked to me. It's like, no, because it's all about safety. If you're just going to show up once, why would they commit to start talking to you, you know? Or you go up and to talk to people and start asking them questions.
Right.
That's what it takes. I mean, if you feel lonely, don't wait for somebody to come save you. You go and be the person who can help other people, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like maybe we may be quick to judge groups as cliquey or something like that because, they know each other. They're already friends. And if you kind of go into that and you kind of stand at the back of the room and observe for a while, and you don't kind of try to make the interaction and try to open up, well, then, I mean, you're going to think like, oh, those people were stuck up and snobby because they didn't even like say hi. And I mean, I've been in those situations where I would love it if communities, and I've been a part of communities like Alcoholics Anonymous, where where people will just come up to you and say, hey, I haven't seen you before. What's your name? And then they'll get interested. And that's great. And I wish all communities were like that. Unfortunately, they're not. Even when we go to places of worship like churches, the majority of the churches that we've been to have not been that way.
Yeah.
I mean, those communities, they do get like immersed in that. That's why, unfortunately, I mean, in the way that our world is, when you go into these communities, you have to kind of be the one to like say, hey, I just wanted to come up and just have a script ready.
Yeah, just ask ChatGPT before you go. And just say, what questions should I ask in this group?
Yeah.
Or they compliment somebody.
Yeah, even just have it ready. Like just say like, hey, my name is Adam. I'm new here and I haven't been before, but I just wanted to say hi and introduce myself. And then the follow-up questions can come. I guarantee that once you kind of like just break that ice, it gets better and you feel better about it.
Yeah.
But
to recognize, and I still do it to this day, is you're going to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Especially like right beforehand. I remember, that feeling before races.
Right.
Yeah, the way you feel, you're like, my stomach's upset. I'm so nervous. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going out and meeting new people still makes me that way too. But to recognize that as oh, there's that thought, there's that feeling that I have, and it's okay. It's not like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, or
Yeah.
that's if not being uncomfortable is okay. It's not a sign that you are not doing it right. It's just a sign that you are trying something new and you're getting out of your comfort zone. So it's going to feel a little bit strange. You might stumble on your words, but I feel that being consistent and understanding that you're going to feel uncomfortable, and it's okay.
Yeah. And if you're growth oriented and you're building a business, you already have that personality of being growth oriented. You know that discomfort is necessary. So I think for a lot of you listening who are in relationships that are growth oriented, where you might be feeling that sense of loneliness, maybe it is just an element of you being maybe disconnected from your spouse because you're focused so much on the business, and the business isn't going to fill that need of solving for loneliness. It really isn't. And nor are the coworkers necessarily or anything like that are reporting to you, especially if you're in a leadership position or an entrepreneurial position, and both of you as spouses are in that position. You may feel that heightened sense of loneliness. So finding those communities outside of that is another way to do that. Also, connecting with each other in that intentional way every week is also a way to do that. But I'll just kind of my additional thoughts on finding that community. If you're really interested in growing your community, the communities that I've found, that was like my biggest way of getting out of loneliness. And what I found was that I needed a couple of key elements in that community in order for it to feel like it was aligned. And the first one was that, of course, yeah, it's aligned with what I want to do. Like it satisfies that interest. It scratches that itch, whether it's karate or music or something else. That there's that there. Second element that makes it a great community is that there's some element of mentorship in there, meaning there's people that have been doing it a long time. There are people in that community that have what you want in some way, right? Mm-hmm. If it's a mastermind community like GoBundance, there are people in there that have what you want. They're willing to give it away. They're willing to share their time with you and have that. They're mentors. Mm-hmm. Then the third element that I look for is cohort, meaning there are people in that community that are also at the same level and kind of growing with you. And those are the people that are going to kind of iron sharpens iron, where you're all working together in this way to kind of grow your own skills or grow into it. That's what builds a powerful community. When you have that leadership that's guiding, when you have that cohort that's kind of going through the same crucible as you, that builds like authentic connection. Yeah. And authentic connection in community is the reason you do that, and that's really what helps with that loneliness. And of course, consistency, as Marie said, building that is important. Yeah,
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's just bringing it back to the relationship. Once you have this feeling that you have these communities, mm-hmm. and then bringing it back to the relationship. I mean, part of that is how that expands your relationship is having a community, is because then you have that sort of that separation mm-hmm. between the two of you of getting fulfilled a different way, and that you're not expecting your partner to fulfill everything, because that's right. quite draining.
Right.
And so you have that expansion of yourself and that separate growth of finding a different community and finding that ability to be a part of something else, that it takes that separation mm-hmm. and it builds up that passion for each other. So when you come together, that you can, hey, I'm excited about this. When I'm excited about something and I share it with you, that's connection. That's togetherness.
Yeah.
Like that my excitement always fills you too. Like
yeah.
If I'm always coming to you with a problem, which I've been doing this last week, and I really feel bad about it, but it drains you. Mm-hmm. When I come back with something exciting and this is what I did and I'm happy, and you're like, oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Great. If I come in with you, like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, it, forgive me if I'm wrong, but it makes you feel like, oh, I'm not fulfilling her needs, or I'm just not, I feel the society's pull of, I'm not doing enough.
Right. Yeah. When what
because
I'm
she's not happy.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing there too is is the elements of secure and insecure attachment, and that intentional separation that you talk about, I think, is something that we never expected when we got together and we got married. Was that like how necessary that is? Because like if there's an expectation of like you complete me or you are everything to me and you need to be my everything and I need to be with you at all times and separation is always bad, well, that's an anxious attachment. You know, that's an unhealthy attachment. And there's security in this idea that we can separate from one another, do our own thing, and have the security in knowing that when we come back together, we're secure enough our relationship that we actually celebrate what we've done outside with our own activities or whatever we enjoy doing, whatever we enjoy separately, so that we can, once again, embrace that time for ourselves to be individuals. Tying it all back to the beginning, right?
Yes.
This is why it's important to know yourself first, to know what your operating system is, know what your wants are, what your desires are, understand that deeply, what you're filled up about, and explore that independent of the relationship, knowing that if you can build a secure attachment with that, then you can come back together and celebrate one another and be stronger because you're showing that appreciation for one another.
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't always that way.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
And I'm guilty for it. Like you go off and did something, and I'm like, I am so jealous. I'm like, I'm like, what are you doing? And what is he? You know, like how? You know, that's because that expectation of what I thought our relationship should look like.
Mm-hmm.
Once I let go of all the shoulds, I felt so much better about our relationship.
Right.
Like I stopped listening to what other people tell me to do, or like you did, like when you get married and they give you advice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
You just need to do whatever she says.
well, that's true.
Yeah.
But no, my advice, and it's funny when people get married. It's like it's always don't listen to anybody else. Listen to your own intuition. Listen to yourself. Because that's what's important. If people start putting expectations on you and your relationship, well, you're just living for them. You're not living for yourself.
Right. Yeah.
And and that's what builds resentment. Is because people tell me what is ridiculous. It's
Right.
so ridiculous of how people's expectations of what you should be doing in your relationship makes you build resentment towards another person, towards your person.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know it's silly, but yeah, there's just a lot that we're conditioned to believe in this, and and so loneliness. I think just to kind of recap what we've shared, what I've learned from this, and what I think we've talked about with regard to loneliness in a relationship. Yes, you can definitely be lonely in a long-term relationship, especially when you're building a business and a life together, and you get entrenched in your business. And part of overcoming maybe that loneliness is obviously if it is overwhelming, therapy is something, get help. There is therapeutic help out there that you can get. Then second, also understand yourself, your own operating system. Know what you want, right?
Yes.
And then the other thing is find those things that you're interested in. Through discovering yourself, you'll discover your interests. And start to explore those interests through community. Yeah.
I agree with that. Plus, it expands your relationship when you are able to be separate from your partner and then come together. That separation and the individualness expands your relationship, doesn't contract it.
That's right.
So
that's right. I think that's a great point. That intentional separation, and of course that intentional coming back together. Because I mean, you can't just separate forever and then expect that you're actually going to be more connected. You have to get back together, right?
Yeah, and then having these weekly meetings, because
right.
why? Because when you're doing these weekly meetings, you're connecting by giving each other eye contact. You are putting the problems in front of you instead of instead of between you. Like,
Right. Yeah.
like, and you're building that skill of communication with your spouse during these meetings. But you're being seen and heard, and if you giving that time to one another is precious, because what people are not feeling in a relationship is being seen and heard. So when you're taking intentional time, 20 minutes a day at the start, you are allowing yourself to be able to have a more better connection, more better communication, and being seen and heard. So
That's absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's a great point, because those weekly meetings are a way to help overcome that loneliness together with your spouse.
Yes.
And we have a very special workbook that
Yes.
helps you to actually to have those weekly 20-minute meetings. And all it takes is 20 minutes per week. Of course, you could do it longer, but all it takes is 20 minutes to just really regain that connection and get connected with your spouse. And we have a workbook for that you can download. We'll drop it in the show notes. It may not be ready right away if you're listening to this right after this episode drops, but we will go back and we'll put those in all of the show notes that we've done thus far, so that you can download it for free and enjoy it there.
Yeah, and you can message me on my social medias, and I can send that out to you too as well too.
Yeah, and that's at Marie C. Hill.
Yeah.
Or at Startup Spouses.
Yes.
Yep. So yeah, download that, enjoy it, and if you like this episode or if you like this show, we would really love it if you'd give us a 5-star review and also share it with a friend. The more we spread the message of the show, the more it gets out there. And we appreciate you showing up for this episode. We look forward to seeing you next time.